Welcome to Losi Fanta Audio Adventures. This series is about true stories that really happened. Stories in which men twist themselves into knots, women mercilessly play out their quirks, and no one can seriously claim to have acted out of pure reason. Told with biting wit, humor, and delightful sarcasm. Enjoy listening to the things people do out of love, lust, or desire, and bitterly regret. Experiences caught between heart and body.
How to Spend Time Together, the Hardcore Edition. Romance. That delicate little plant you nurture and care for, only to have it eventually smashed to pieces with a sledgehammer called a self-service stable. She wanted to spend more time with me, which I initially took as a compliment, but in hindsight turned out to be more of a project announcement complete with a work order. Because my partner at the time, or rather, partner again, exactly the woman who had once abducted my coffee machine, had replaced me for a year after 4 years of being together, only for me to end up back in her clutches afterward. She was not just someone who loved horses. No, she was a horse person through and through. And, by the way, she still is. That is a very particular kind of human being. One who checks the condition of the hooves first thing in the morning, then the emotional state of the dog, and only afterward, if at all, takes an interest in your pulse. Her heart beat for her animals, and I was more like a piece of emotional, stable decoration with a toolbox. She had rented a self-service stable. For the uninitiated, that's basically a farm, minus the farmer. You do everything yourself. Everything. The only thing that came pre-assembled was the horse. Although, with enough YouTube tutorials, I'm fairly sure she would have bred that herself too. And I, handy with tools and emotionally manipulable, signed up for the adventure. I installed surveillance cameras, obviously for the horse. Who needs privacy when you can play animal security services? Realigned creaking gates, patched up broken doors, and built things I didn't even know had been missing before. And then came the highlight. The exact moment our relationship officially shifted from romantic comedy to bleak home improvement documentary. Artificial turf in the stable. Because the clay soil was, according to her, unacceptable. For the horse. This animal, biologically designed for wilderness, mud, and endless steppe, was now supposed to lie comfortably on soft, second-hand artificial grass. The turf came from another stable about 40 kilometers away. Of course it did. And naturally, it was filled with heavy sand, presumably a byproduct straight from hell itself. So I took a company van, loaded this biologically questionable carpet of madness, a workout that would make even hardcore fitness influencers cry, and hauled it back to the stable. That's when the big surprise hit. Nothing fit. So there I was, cutting, shoving, swearing, measuring, laying it down again. A perfect mix of Tetris, yoga, and emotional collapse. I was the Bob Ross of flooring, just with more back pain and significantly less inner peace. While other couples spent their evenings by candlelight having deep conversations, I spent my weekends knee-deep in horse manure, armed with a utility knife and a herniated disc. But hey, I loved her. I could have bailed at that point, but I thought, come on, it can't possibly get worse. Spoiler, it did. Because then came the paving project. A roughly 5 by 6 meter area where the horse was supposed to eat hay from the rack while staying nice and dry. Clay soil while feeding? Outrageous. And I, by now a fully certified stable janitor with a specialization in madness, agreed to take care of that too. Act 1. Digging a hole. Sounds harmless. It isn't. I already saw myself spending hours with a pickaxe and shovel like an archaeological intern trapped in a very damp nightmare. Because clay soil in autumn? That's concrete, with an attitude. The good news, She rented a mini excavator. The better news, I didn't have to operate it myself. But the universe wouldn't be complete if it had simply dumped the sand, needed as the base for the paving, directly into the hole. Oh no. Naturally, it was unloaded several meters away. Perfect for romantic couple time, after work, October fog, 6 degrees Celsius, and 28 wheelbarrows per hour. A unique blend of boot camp and pre-breakup preparation. Then came the paving stones, one by one. Align, hammer down, fill joints, and then run the plate compactor over everything, just in case I still had a joint left that worked properly. By then, I wasn't just Bob Ross anymore. I was Bob the Builder, MacGyver, and a little bit Jesus because I was suffering for the sins of others. But of course, that still wasn't enough. 4 concrete foundations were needed too, for the new hay rack, obviously. So I transformed once again into my second personality. Professional amateur concrete mixer with a mild psychosocial breakdown. I poured cement and laid steel reinforcements like it was my actual profession, and everything else was just a badly paid side hustle. And then came the moment of truth. Proudly, I presented my work and wanted to discuss the next step with her. Buying wood so I could build her planned hay rack before winter arrived. Small side note, just so nobody loses track. The old hay rack had been built by her ex. Yes, that ex. The one she was with after me. The one I was replaced with after 4 years. The one who later ended up before me again, and then got replaced as well. Yes, that one. He was even officially employed as a stable hand for a while. Looking back, that should have been a sign. But more on that later. That's another chapter that will appear later in this audiobook. Back to this story. She has a truly impressive rotational principle when it comes to love. And with that hay rack, I even patched the roof once. Craftsmanship value? Deluxe. Anyway, I genuinely thought, now gratitude will finally appear. Haha, cute, right? Instead, she came to me and said, calmly, almost tenderly, in that voice people usually use when they're about to tell you the dog got run over. Oh, by the way, I've been thinking for about 3 months now about switching stables. But thanks. Now we've finally spent lots of time together. All I could think was, yeah, sure. Are you completely messing with me, or are you already accepting applications for the next psychosocial disaster? Several weeks, almost every day after work. Weekends, too. In the dark, with floodlights set up. The entire project? Pointless. The artificial turf? Useless for the next stable. The paving? Soon as abandoned as a rest stop on a ghost highway. And then she wants to move the horse? What the hell? But okay, yes, we had spent time together, just not the way one usually imagines in a relationship. Walks or coffee dates would have been far too simple. Nothing says quality time like weeks of hard labor for an uncertain future. And to this day, I ask myself, was it worth it? Well, at least I made the horses happy. The ones that are still there, anyway. And I found a new hobby, laying paving stones under floodlights. Haha, romantic, right? I did learn a few things, though, like how to install artificial turf, how to romantically push what feels like 10 tons of sand through mud with a wheelbarrow, and how to recognize when a relationship is already over, only nobody has the courage to say it out loud. Conclusion? Some relationships end because of arguments, some because of infidelity. This one ended on a cold November evening, in the fog, between artificial turf, paving stones, and the realization that spending time together doesn't always mean what you think it means. It dragged on for a few more months, like a stream slowly drying up, until I was once again seamlessly replaced by someone new. A new stable caretaker? Probably not. But that's another story. And yes, she moves stables with the horse. And me? I'm left with a concrete horse track, a back-shaped trauma, and an entry worthy of Wikipedia under Things People Do for Love and Bitterly Regret.
Thanks for listening. Honestly, respect for sticking it out all the way to the end. I hope you had fun, or at least felt a tiny bit called out. Maybe you even thought, thank goodness that wasn't me. Don't worry, the next story is definitely coming. And next time, too, it'll be about the things people do out of love, lust, or desire, and later regret. Until next time on Losi Fanta Audio Adventures.